So hello there everyone and welcome to a video detailing things I would like to see in FIFA 22. Now I've got 8 things on my list here of all things I want to see in FIFA 22, which are mainly career mode / kickoff based because I don't play Ultimate Team like at all. I say don't play at all. I play like squad battles and solo draft and that's it because I really don't care about anything else. But most of this is just career mode focused stuff because that's what I do. I play career mode on FIFA. So I think number 1, I want to see a youth league because as it stands currently, your youth squad players sat in the youth academy just do absolutely nothing until they're like, I'm fed up of being in the youth academy, call me up to the first team, boss. Which if you're playing with a big team and you got, let's say like a 57 rated player in the youth academy who's got like a 97 potential, you're like, well, I don't want to call you up to the first team because, I'm playing as, let's say, you're doing a Chelsea career mode. And you're never going to get a 57 rated player in Chelsea's team, even if you're playing Lincoln City in the Carabao Cup 3rd round or whatever. You're still probably not going to play this 57 rated player. And currently just sits doing nothing. But if there was like a youth league in the game where you did have your youth squad had a team in that league, then it would be quite good, even if it's like it is in Football Manager where it's just managed by someone else and you just get reports back and get to see where they are on the table. That would still be good, but currently they're just sitting there doing nothing until they're like, I'm bored of sitting here doing nothing, I want to go to the first team or you're gonna have to release me. And when they get into the first team, you won't play them for 3 months. They're like, well, I was promised more game time. It's like, well, you kind of forced my hand there. Like, there's no good way around this. But I think a youth league, they would then be happy to stay in the youth team for longer. And also, you get more of an idea of how good they are in their position. If it gave you stats of what they were like. I'm comparing it here to Football Manager, where you can see the stats. You can see like a match rating, goals and assists, and clean sheets and things like that of your players in the youth academy, which would be so much better, especially as they'll actually get game time as well, which probably means their overall could increase better, or they could increase their attributes better, and just overall it would just be a good thing. Even if you can't manage a youth team yourself, even if it is just automatically managed, it would still be nice to just have one. The second thing is lots more attention paid to the women's football. Currently we just have the major countries in women's football and not much else, which, it's cool to have that, but I'd like to see more. I'd like to see some domestic clubs get in there, even if it is just for the time being you can only play them in kickoff mode. Just actually getting some domestic clubs in for women's football. Chelsea women, Man City women, Arsenal women, Man United women, Bayern's women's team, like all of these big women's teams that exist in football that currently just have no significance at all in FIFA because they just don't exist. I'd like to see it because it'd be fun. It'd be enjoyable to actually, play as a women's team. I want to play as a women's team domestically, not just in international games, because international games are fun, but there's only so many times you can play these big women's teams against each other without being like, okay, I've done it all now. There's only so many times I can play England versus the US without being like, okay, I'm kind of over this now, I'd like to play with some other things. And I think including women's leagues from the top leagues in Europe would be quite good. The third thing I want is create a club for career mode. We've had it before, let's bring it back. It was just a great thing to do. It was so fun to be able to create your own club in career mode, take them up the ranks from bottom of the league, of League 2 or whatever league system you're in, depending on your country, all the way up to the top. It was great. Let's bring that back. I'd love to see it again. It was so much fun to be able to create a club and take them nothingness to the heights. It's so much fun to even do it with real clubs. Being able to do it with your own custom club would be so cool, and you can do it in PES, you can do it in Football Manager, and you could do it in FIFA previously, so let's just bring it back. I'm pretty sure you could even do it in like FIFA on the DS. When if you can do it on a DS, you can do it on a PS5. And the next thing kind of links in with that, which is Stadium and Kit Creator. Stadium Creator would be so cool, and we know we have Stadium Customization because we see it in Ultimate Team. It doesn't have to be the most in-depth Stadium Creator that, you get to build everything from scratch, but even just some level of customization like we have in Ultimate Team, bring that over to career mode. That would be so cool to be able to, customize your stadium, have different colored nets, have different colored seating, have things around the sides like standees and stuff like that. It would just be so much fun to be able to have that. Let's say you're playing as a team that always plays in red and white stripes like Southampton. Being able to customize it so you have red and white striped nets would be really cool. Or being able to put your team crest on the back of the net like Hamburg have. It would just be so cool. Currently we just don't have that, and it would be so fun to have. And the kit customization, Pro Evo has it. Pro Evo has a pretty fun kit customization. It's not the best ever, but it's still pretty enjoyable to use, and I enjoy using Pro Evo's kit customization. I think FIFA needs to implement it. It would just take the game up a level, and people would come up with some really cool looking stadiums and stuff like that. And obviously you're going to have to limit it to like certain amount of things, because otherwise people will just draw penises all over the pitch and the stands, so you probably don't want people doing that. But you could definitely do some good stuff with it, and I'm sure people are really creative and make some really cool looking stadiums, because you see it in like Ultimate Team, some people's stadiums look really sick. Let us customize our stadiums and kits in career mode. As fun as it is, you know, using the preset kits, I would want to be able to, let's say you're playing as a big team with 3 kits, I want to be able to bring in a 4th kit that I can use. The next thing is more licensing. I know it's a difficult one, and this one's pretty unrealistic, but having more licensing would be so much fun. We don't have the Greek League in FIFA. Like, come on, the Greek League has big name teams. Let's get it in FIFA. It would be so much fun to be able to do a Road to Glory with a team low down in the Greek League. And like with the Greek teams that are actually in FIFA, like they just sat in the rest of the world section, which, yeah, it's alright, but it just sort of feels a bit whatever really. And like the whole rest of the world section, it's cool to have those teams in the game, but I'd like to see them in their actual leagues. Even if it can't get the full like graphics licensing, so you have like all the on-screen graphics that they would have in that league, just to actually have the leagues in the game would be really nice. It would be fun. Play as a team from Greece or somewhere like that. Greece is the main one I'm thinking of, because that's probably the biggest league I can think of that's not in the game. And along with that, if we're going with more licensing things, get more cup fonts in the game, because you see it all the time that teams have a specialist font that they use for the cups and the font that they use for the league. I want to see more of those cup fonts in the game. I get that some teams you can't, because they have like deals with PES who have the cup fonts, like Manchester United, they have a deal with PES, so like you play PES and you get the cup font. I think it's the same with Arsenal as well, but I don't even think Leicester have theirs in FIFA, and they don't have a deal with PES. So, you know, I'd like to see it. It's not hard to add a new font into the game. Like, people do it really simply with modding, so let's do it with it actually in the game. Get the cup fonts in the game, because it is cool that you can get cup fonts, and in career mode be able to choose a cup font once you get promoted out of the championship into the Premier League, or out of whatever the second tier is in the respective country into the first tier. Let's say you've been working your way up and you get promoted to the Premier League, then instead of having to just use the Premier League font in all your cup competitions, you get to use your own personalized one for the team that you choose. You can even just choose it from a list. Like FIFA could offer a list of like 20-30 fonts, and you just gotta click, okay, this is the one I want to use, and be able to change it season on season as well. Like, so you could use one font in the first season of the Premier League and then another one in the second season in the Premier League, and just keep changing it up and keep evolving the look of the team and the look of the kits as it goes on. And it would be really cool. Even if it's only being able to change the font on the back of the shirt for cup competitions, it would still be nice to actually have some differential between how the team's kit looks year on year, because currently the only really difference you have between League 2 and the Premier League is you get a different font in the Premier League, you get a different badge on your arm each of the leagues, which it's cool that it has that, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy that that's a thing, but it would be nice if we could expand on that customization that we've already got and get more cool customization going. So our next thing is getting stats for loaned out players. Currently you loan out a player and you have no idea how they've done, how many appearances, how many goals, how many assists, unless it's in a specific competition that your team is also in. So let's say you're playing as an English team, and let's say you loan out a player to a team in the Championship. You get to see how they do in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup. You don't get to see their league stats, you don't get to see any other stats like that, you just see how they do in those same cup competitions, because you can search through everyone's stats for the cup competition. It really sucks that you can't see more of what your loaned out players are doing. And let's say like a mid-table Prem side and you loan a player out to a lower table like Bundesliga side, you're going to know nothing of what that player has done all season, because neither of you are going to be in European competition together, you're not going to be in domestic competitions together. So you just loan this player out and you get him back and you're like, okay, his overall's changed, that's the only thing I know about how he's done. He's either gone up by overall or just stayed the same, and it sucks that you can't see like how many goals, how many assists, how many clean sheets and things like that. It'd be so nice to get these more in-depth stats. The next thing would be VAR on-screen graphics. It'd be quite cool to have it. Like, you think how we have the goal line technology? That, but with VAR. So let's say there's a really tight offside call, then what you get to see is like the player looking a bit unsure, like the ref putting his hand to his ear and then like shows a replay with the lines drawn down the screen, and if he's offside you see the player who just scored being really annoyed, like, oh damn it, I was offside, that sucks. Or if he's scored, you see him celebrating with his teammates, like, yes, I just scored and just about stayed onside. It would just be really cool to get these like on-screen graphics for VAR, because it's a big part of the game now. Like, we all know VAR is massive in football now, so why not, you know, show it off in like these on-screen graphics? And even if the on-screen graphics take like the same amount of time as the graphics for goal line technology does, and you can just skip it by pressing LBRB, still just be cool to have it and be able to watch it and be like, oh, how close to being offside was it, and how close to being onside was it? If you get a super tight onside goal, you have no idea how tight it is unless you go back into the instant replay, whereas with these graphics you'll be able to see just how tight it was for onside and just how much you were onside by. And it would just be really cool. I think it would just be a neat little feature that people can skip if they don't like it, and if they do like it they can watch through the whole VAR replay, which will only be like 4 or 5 seconds as a whole. It doesn't need to take like 2 minutes like it does in real life. And the last thing I have on my list is more national teams. We have such a limited field of national teams compared to what we could have. You think Kosovo don't exist in FIFA, Macedonia don't exist in FIFA, San Marino don't exist in FIFA, and they are very infamous. San Marino. Croatia as well is probably the biggest one. Croatia don't have their national team in FIFA, which is ridiculous. Even if it isn't, you know, the fully licensed thing, just to actually have the club in the game would be quite nice. You go into like the Euros and you don't have Croatia, who are always going to be a huge team to compete with in the Euros, and it's just kind of dead not being able to have them in there. So like, let's say you're doing a career mode and you're the manager of England or France and you go into the Euros, you know you've got it easier because you don't have to deal with Croatia, and then you can't get like surprise wins. Like Kosovo would be surprise winners for games sometimes. You know, San Marino might scrape a draw against Liechtenstein. It would be so cool to just see like Liechtenstein versus San Marino end in a draw, and like the San Marino players going absolutely wild afterwards. Like in the news tab you see a picture from after the game and they're just all there, massive celebrations. It'd be great to have it. I think we need to get more national teams in FIFA. Also Japan. Why do we not have Japan's national team in FIFA? We have the Japan women's national team, but we don't have the Japan men's national team. Come on. There's already all like the kits and everything in there. You just need to stick the right players in the kits. Come on. It would be so easy. Anyway, that is the 8 things I have on my list of things I would like to see in FIFA 22. What would you like to see in FIFA 22? Be sure to let me know by dropping a comment. And anyway, I really do hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, Twitter and Discord in the description. I'll catch you later.